Let's talk about the arms for a second. We're going to start with our front arm. In my stance, I need this front arm to be like a letter L. We hear hands back, but I'm here to tell you this. If your hands are too far back, we call this arm barring, and your front arm is like this, you're in a bad position, right? Because now from here, if you see from this angle, I'm going to swing around the ball. We're going to talk later on about how important it is to attack the inside part of the baseball. And when you're going this way, you're going to be coming around and you're going to be getting a ton of contact on the skinny part of your bat. So my front arm needs to be bent. My thumb should essentially touch my back shoulder if I don't have the bat in my hand. And so that would be a really good position to be in. I want my front elbow to be in close to my body. I do not want this front elbow flying out this way. Watch what happens when my front elbow starts to flare out this way. I lose the water on my bat, which we talked about, the bat angle and our stance, and now my bat path is going that way. And so when I can keep my front elbow down, do you see how that corrects the bat angle and the knob to the catcher? Talked about earlier how one thing leads to the next. If you do one thing well in your stance, then another thing that you're trying to do will also be done the right way. Every body part's connected. And so you're going to start to see this throughout each video. Front arm letter L, thumbs back to the rear shoulder, front elbows in close. I feel like my armpit in here is in tight. I don't feel like I'm airing out my armpit, so I'm in here. Now when I go to swing, I start to extend my arms. This is one of the most important parts in hitting. As far as a position to get into, it's extension. And so when I'm at contact, my front arm gets pretty close to full extension, but my top hand and my rear arm is still bent. After contact, I need to get to extension. And that's where both arms fully lock out and get long. I'm pointing the bat now towards center field. On a pitch down the middle, I should be pointing my bat towards center field on a good hit. For me as a lefty hitter, if the pitch is inside, my extension should happen a little bit more towards right center. And on an outside pitch, my extension should happen a little bit more towards left center. And so that's where I'm going to be pointing my bat, but I am getting both arms fully locked out and extended after contact. And it should happen shortly after contact. It shouldn't happen way after contact, because that means we're hitting the ball too deep and we're probably late. So that's the front arm. Now the rear arm, I'm going to angle this way again so you can see. I think a position, this back elbow is a huge one. I think when you can get into a position where your back arm is loaded as if you were to throw a punch that's close to the position that you want to be in. You do not want your back elbow up to the sky. Young players hear this all the time from dads, get your back elbow up. What happens with that is you mess up your grip. And now your grip is way too deep in your palms and you can't get the barrel through, your wrists are locked up and your barrel is now slower. So it's putting your grip in a horrible position and you're going to feel more uncomfortable and too tight. We'll talk about later on with your wrists as well. The wrists need to be a little bit more loose. And so the other thing is you don't want this back elbow pointing down to the ground because again that's going to affect your bat angle. Now your back arm is not in a strong position and you've lost your angle. Right here, right? So that back elbow is back, and it's pointing slightly down. It's definitely not pointing up because it's changing my grip. But you can kind of see here, this is probably your best position with this back elbow. Everyone's going to be slightly different. There's not one perfect, specific position it needs to be in, but there's a range, certainly. And so front elbow is down, which helps that front shoulder stay down, if you remember. Back arm is loaded. And so this here would be a pretty good position for both arms to be in the stance, right? And now from here, this back arm should stay in close. It should stay bent, bent, bent for a long period of time, and then it will extend after I've cleared my hips. So the back arm is going to start extending out here. When the back arm extends back here, that's going to cause a lot of problems in our swing, and that's when we start coming around the baseball, which we'll talk about later as well. Just to recap, front arm letter L, back arm loaded, almost like in a punch position. One additional thing that will help you out, take this wrist and start to peel it back. So I'm taking the back of my palm and I'm flexing it towards my watch. And again, that puts, you can see from this angle, that puts my back arm in a really good position, my back hand and wrist in a good position as well. So I'm not here, I want to be more here. And so I feel like my palm is facing out that way. I don't feel like my palm is facing my chest. That would mess up my grip. So again, the look is this, right here. Now I'm at contact here. You can see from this angle at contact, I still feel like both elbows are in tight to my body to give a nice strong position to really whip the barrel through. I don't want my arms going out and around. I want the swing to be short to long. We'll talk about that later on as well. Short to long. So I'm short and quick to the ball, to contact, and I'm long through the ball, which is the extension that we just talked about.